access to a polling place, or in this case, a ballot box, is not the biggest barrier facing some Hispanic or Latino voters in Colorado.
That doesn't mean that they don't exist.
CU Boulder professor Celeste Montoya, whose research focuses on gender and racial politics in the U.S., says it's outreach.
I think there's a lot of work that can be done by both political parties and kind of connecting and being responsive and making sure that Latinos are well represented.
She says particularly in rural areas.
And there are lots of Latinos that are there of both party affiliations, are non-affiliated whatsoever, that don't necessarily have the information that's necessary to vote. And so I think that that's a really important key component.
Tracking how many vote depends on what report you look at. For instance, the 2020 census says 21.9% of Colorado's population are Hispanic or Latinos. The Pew Research Center says there's 659,000 eligible Latino voters in the state. While we don't know the turnout for this primary, the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials projects only about 280,000 Colorado Latino voters will vote in November's election. Montoya considers the turnout a sign of a lack of mobilizing Latinos to vote.
And a big part of that is that Latinos don't necessarily see themselves being represented in the political process. I think that there's a lot of places in Colorado where Latinos, if they were fully mobilized, could make a significant difference in election outcomes. And so, I think that in some places that's more recognized than in others.
So the growth of Hispanics and Latinos may play a big role in upcoming elections if they do indeed come out to vote. Colorado State demographer told me back in April that Adams County, for example, had the largest growth in the Hispanic population in the entire state in the last decade. Tom Kim, another factor that Montoya says is that we have a much newer immigrant population still learning the political system here that can play a role as well.
You know, when she talks about mobilizing this group, who does that fall to? Does that fall to the two major parties to motivate them? Or is it the Latino and Hispanic communities that would in fact be motivating and mobilizing this group?
And we've also seen in different polls that different issues matter to the different communities as well. For example, a Latino policy agenda poll did show that the economy was a larger issue, and then that also went into different issues that Latinos say that would matter to them for voting. So a lot of different important factors here to look at.
We'll have to see where the outreach comes from to get them involved in the political system.
Right, absolutely.
A lot at stake. All right, Louise, thanks.